Dear congregation, it is February 21st, 2022, and God's peace and grace be with you on this day and throughout it. It's coming up on Ash Wednesday and beginning the Lenten season. And for some, that means giving up something for Lent. That's kind of been the traditional thought. And I want to take another different view of this, of that long-held tradition that's been passed down by who? It wasn't Jesus. But the history behind it seems to be something, well, one take, let's say, is that in the Bible's New Testament, while Jesus was in the wilderness, Satan tempted him to turn away from God and worship the devil instead. But Jesus refused to, which is why people might give something up in order to test their own self-discipline. That can be a good reason. Well, kind of a good reason. The tradition of Lenten sacrifice it has its roots in Jesus' 40 days for fasting in the Judean desert. For the same reason that I just mentioned before. And this begins during, well, Ash Wednesday and continues until Easter Sunday arrives, at which time the faithful are able to indulge in what they've sacrificed during the Lenten season. Now, sometimes, in some of those things we give up chocolate or soft drinks or sweets. Some people give up Facebook. Anything's good, and those are all good things. It's good for self-discipline, but it has really no spiritual value. Now, from my research, that became a regularized thing around 313 AD. Saint Athanasius implored his congregation to make a 40-day fast to more intense feeling of Holy Week. One can safely conclude that by the end of the 4th century, the 40 days period of Easter preparations, known as Lent, existed, and that the prayer and fasting constituted its primary spiritual exercise. Of course, the number 40 itself has always had some spiritual significance. We can just look at Mount Sinai, and Moses stayed there with the Lord for 40 days and 40 nights without eating any food or drinking water. Elijah walked 40 days and 40 nights to the mountain of the Lord at Mount Horeb, also known as Mount Sinai. Maybe more importantly, that Jesus did fast and pray for 40 days and 40 nights in the desert before he began his public ministry. Now that has a lot of implications too. But the next development concerned how much fasting was to be done. Once they established 40 days and 40 nights, they had to figure out what kind of fasting are we talking about here. In Jerusalem, people fasted for 40 days. Monday through Friday, but not Saturday or Sunday. They've been making Lent last 8 weeks. In Rome and in the West, people fasted for 6 weeks, Monday through Saturday, and thereby making Lent last for 6 weeks. Eventually, the practice prevailed of fasting for 6 days a week over the course of 6 weeks, and Ash Wednesday was instituted to bring the number of fasting to 40 before Easter. So technically, when we are involved in a giving up thing, it was only Monday through Saturday, so that might relieve you. But let's make another run at this and consider an alternative to fasting or giving something up for Lent. How about if you this year take up something for Lent? There are 3 activities that are connected with Lent: almsgiving, fasting, and prayer. And that fasting isn't what we think. How about taking up one of these activities instead of giving up something? Have it just become another failed New Year's Eve resolution where you just feel bad if you stumble and fall or fail. Do something that correlates with one of the three. Give to the food shelf or to the Numis house. How about to your church for use in ministry? Just a thought. And here's another thought. And it's a thought on tithing, another way of giving, which is nothing more than almsgiving. And we find it first mentioned in Malachi, where God says, bring the full tithe and I will open the floodgates of heaven. However, that's Old Testament. And that's kind of what we use to encourage people to give. God no longer makes that promise, but he does promise us to give us our daily bread. Some people give in other ways than money. Volunteering, playing music, doing maintenance, cleaning, whatever. Whenever a pastor suggests the tithe, I get a little uncomfortable because a tithe is not part of the new covenant. I believe some people feel guilty because they don't or they can't. And sometimes it makes them give outrageously and then put themselves in a bad position financially. That's no good. I desire mercy, not sacrifice, God says. Another feels self-righteous because they can do it. I don't like that either. Jesus reproached the Pharisees because they were giving a tenth of mint, dill, and cumin, but they were neglecting the weightier matters of justice and mercy. To give that tenth, all the Pharisees had to do is open up their wallet and pay for it and bring it. To be more concerned with those weightier matters of justice and mercy, that involves a person's self. That's just something to think about as our Lenten season approaches. But always know that I always hold all of you in constant prayer, trusting in God's grace for us all. In Christ's name, this is Pastor Kent. Wishing you a wonderful week, a wonderful Lenten season, some new discoveries as we go and explore those statements of Jesus, the I am statements. Join us starting March 12th for our Ash Wednesday service, and then the following Wednesdays for Lenten services in the evening or at noon out at Central. And of course, on the Sundays, join us. And don't be concerned about fasting, about giving up. Be more concerned about taking on a new habit that will benefit you spiritually and others physically and spiritually. That be something for us to gnaw on throughout this Lenten season. God's blessings as you go through your week and as you consider what all of what God has done for you means to you. We will see you next week.